it can be viewed on our website or partnership school YouTube channel. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and open it up, let Danette move forward with some of the things that what we can do and we should do with the members that are in attendance.
Absolutely. Good morning, Commissioner. I'm going to go ahead and let Deanna kick it off with a little update on just the New Mexico Public Education Department Community School funding grants applications that were sent in or going to be sent in today. Deanna?
Hi, yeah, I'm very excited to share with you. This was very much a joint effort between the ABC team, the APS community school team, Lindsay and Brian Garcia. We all worked really hard, had lots and lots and lots of sessions. We have 3 different kinds of grants, well, and actually technically 4 different kinds of grants that are being submitted to PED. 3 of those are due today, and the other one is due in a few weeks. And so total for today, there are 23 grants that we are submitting to New Mexico Public Education Department for community school funding. So we'll be very excited to update you when we are awarded 23 community school grants from the PED. So, and really our principals and coordinators, big shout out to all of you. It was a lot of work on a very short turnaround, and they did a really great job. So just a quick update from me.
Thank you. And the other update is on, I just want to set the stage for this. I also don't see Jeff in the attendees list. So Jeff, if you're here and it's just a different name, will you please put something in the chat?
He told me he was running a little late, but he will be here.
Okay, excellent. So we have, as you know, we have a sustainable funding committee. Part of that committee's work is around building system level partnerships to help meet the needs of the schools. And once there's 1 or 2 schools that kind of finds either a need or a want or an interest, then the ABC team really tries to connect either board member institution resources or nonprofit investment, or some type of, we try to bring everyone together to say, hey, we have this thing we need. You have something that can pay for it or is already doing it. Can you bring it to this school and connect it intentionally? And that's what we consider a system level partnership. And we have a number of those that have really taken off this year in just supporting what kids wanted and what families wanted. And we also, so our first presentation is going to be from North Forth Arts, hopefully, if Jeff is here quickly.
We're here, Danette, just FYI.
Oh, excellent. Thank you so much. So you guys remember Jeff. He once was a member of the ABC team until he deserted us to go do very, very cool art stuff. But one of the things that we had in our bucket of strategic plan is facilitating community self-determination. And a lot of that is about creating the space, working with partners to help lift up community voice. And so with that, of course, Jeff was super passionate about that when he was with the ABC team and took that passion with him to North Forth Arts, to the North Forth Arts Center. And with the other thing that people might or might not know is ABC is a core part of the Any Given Child initiative. And the county wrote a grant, Jeff actually wrote a grant to NEA to receive some funding to help move that initiative forward, as well as ensure that artists and art opportunities, high quality art opportunities, are made available to students in all of APS, but obviously would benefit community schools as much as we possibly can. And so the county came together with that grant, with another grant, and with Jeff's brilliance in his qualitative data gathering, and Jeff's team created a thing called, sorry, I'm not sure I can make sure we got the slides right, Candid Communities. And I'm going to have turn it over to him to talk about this really cool initiative. And I just want to say, when you get to the brown pig, I am in love with the brown pig. So when you get there, you all will be on board with me. So Jeff.
Hi, thank you so much, Danette. Hello, community school world. It's been a few months. I'm excited to be back here at a board meeting to talk about a program that Danette so wonderfully introduced. And just side note, it was really cool to be able to kind of start this work with ABC and then find a way to bring it over to an arts organization that I work with. And I've been long passionate about using the arts as a tool for community building and community action and community engagement and empowerment. So it's really cool that it all kind of came together like this. So the program Danette mentioned is called Candid Communities. And the one sentence description of it essentially is it's visual surveys. So the idea is using photography as a either supplement or replacement to what the surveys. So you get similar information that way, but the idea is that it engages families in kind of a different way, right? You can go to the next slide. So I really like this quote from a photographer because, we've heard that photographs are worth 1,000 words, pictures are worth 1,000 words, right? But photography it's a visual thing, and anyone, regardless of the language you speak, regardless of how, specific, your understanding or grasp of any particular language, everyone can get something from a photograph, and everyone can say something with a photograph, right? It doesn't require anything more than the ability to take a picture, right? So I really love this quote, and I think it's really at the heart of what Candid Communities is all about. The next slide, please. So this year, North Forth is partnering with several different schools in the ABC network to do this work, and it's really cool because one, this is kind of, it's the first year that we're doing it, but two, we're kind of figuring out how it works, and also this could be work that expands out to working with maybe the city's planning work that they're doing, other nonprofits and other government institutions who really want to get and act on feedback from their community. So this, what happens is the school determines, like any needs assessment or community assessment process, the school determines what they want to know, right? Are they starting from a very high level? Are they wanting to just really, as maybe a new community school that's trying to just figure out, like, generally tell us, what do you need? What are your strengths, right? And we'll incorporate that. Or maybe it's a school that has existing data and they're already focused on, after school programs or basic needs or something like that. So they figure out what they want to know and what they want to dig into. The Community School Council develops 2 to 3 photo prompts for community members to respond to. Might be like, show us pictures of what you like to learn about outside of school. That's an example from one school this year, and they're trying to figure out their what they want to do for out of school time programming next year, right? So they're really trying to incorporate, like, what do parents and families, what are they excited about? So show us that, and they're going to use that information to determine their out of school time. Then a photography artist, either from the school community or someone that North Forth identifies and brings to the school, does a short workshop, either in person or virtually, on visual storytelling. They essentially say, here's, use your phone to take pictures, and here's how you might frame your subject. Here's what lighting might say. Here's what angles might say. Here's how you tell a story visually, right? And then the community members, whether they attended the workshop or not, they get the prompts. They have a window of 2 to 4 weeks to submit photographs in response to those prompts. And then an on-site pop-up gallery at the school is organized. Again, this can either be virtual or in person, but the idea is it doubles as a family engagement and community empowerment process. So the pop-up gallery is organized where the photographs are displayed for the community, and the community then tells the school what those photographs mean, right? So if, like, for one prompt, a certain park or maybe a certain church or a certain restaurant or community center gets photographed a lot, right? Or maybe a type of place or a type of activity gets photographed a lot. So that'll be kind of themed into, community centers, right? They're really important to this community. And so the community of the pop-up gallery comes in and gives more context and nuance. And they say why this place is important, how we utilize it, right? Or they say why, this place or type of place or this activity or whatever was photographed for something we want to improve or invest more in our community. So then, based on the information on the photographs and the information that folks give in the pop-up gallery, the school uses that information in a way that they would for survey responses, right? they'll look like, this is what the community wants. This is what the community is saying they need, and we'll respond to it. So North Fourth, as a partner in this, we provide a stipend for the photographer. Always pay artists. Every time I have a chance to tell that to people, always pay artists. So we provide a stipend for the photographer to do the workshop, to help theme and code the photographs, to help organize the pop-up gallery. We provide funding for pop-up gallery supplies for, any printed photos or any like structures that people need to buy to hang the photographs or whatever, right? Could be used for even food or water if people want that as an enticement for people to come in. We support the project development. So with the schools, been working through from the very beginning, went and presented to the community school councils, made sure that the council was on board and they could all say, yes, we want to do this. And then from there, worked with the community school coordinators and the photographers to develop the process, help them think about how they might frame the prompts, how they might reach out to the community, do the pop-up gallery, all that fun stuff. And then at the end of it all, over the summer, North Fourth is going to host a multi-community show and fundraiser, essentially. So North Fourth does a different gallery. We have a gallery, and we do different gallery showings every month. And so June is going to be the Candid Community Gallery. And so all the schools that are participating are going to bring their photographs to North Fourth. We're going to hang them up in really cool ways. And we're going to give a chance for all the communities to come and check it out. Also, in all the communities to come and like get to know the other communities, kind of create a dialogue between communities, and then it will become a fundraiser too, because usually folks have a chance to buy the artwork right at North Fourth, but in this case, folks can buy a photograph, and essentially that is, they can $1, $20, $100, whatever it is, they can donate it by buying a photograph, and they'll get a digital copy emailed to them. And North Fourth is going to split that funding 50-50. Half of it's going to go to continuing the program, and then half of it will hold for seed funding to support whatever projects come out of the Candid Communities process at each school. So if a school wanted to do, it was like, oh, this out of school time program is perfect based on what Candid Communities say, or what we got from Candid Communities. North Fourth will say, cool, here's however much money, right? We have, and to just to help seed it, to help get it going. So the result of all this is primarily it's a Candid community, it's a community empowerment process. It's a collaborative leadership process, right? That's the primary driver behind it. We want to get feedback. We want folks to be able to participate in a different way, in a relational way, in a way that builds relationships and is maybe more active than just a survey. It's family and community engagement. We have, workshops that we provide that the community gets in photography. The pop-up gallery hopefully brings a ton of people together. I know one school, Mountain Mahogany, already had their pop-up gallery, and they had over 300 people attend, and they did great. They made it a whole event, right? And they combined it with a big school event. They had over 300 people attend, so they're kind of sorting through that data now. And then, of course, it gives data and stories to drive decision making. And the idea is that the school gets a really in-depth, nuanced, full of context thing. Like people they might know, a survey might tell them they want an out of school time a gardening club, right? But this might help them understand why, or the context behind that, or what that gardening club can do, in the community, right? Maybe it's they're thinking of it as like, let's grow a bunch of food for our community, not just to learn to garden. And so you get a whole bunch of stuff out of this one process. And I know one school is also doing combining it with the out of school time club. So it's not a school time program, it's an arts education program, it's a family and community engagement program, and it's a collaborative leadership program, kind of all wrapped in one. And so we're really, really excited to be doing it this year and kind of testing it out. This is some pictures from Mountain Mahogany that they have submitted. I think their things essentially are, I can't remember their exact prompts, but essentially they're looking for what to do in out of school time. And they're also looking what services and programs can they add to their campus that they feel like people are maybe missing from their lives. So these are some awesome photographs that they're getting. same with that guy, cool car. And this is the thing, you get a bunch of stuff, right? You get, like, people said, like, I'm interested, there's a cool car show in Old Town that someone submitted photographs for. Like, you'd never get that from a survey, maybe, right? That had limited choices. But now they know, like, and a few people sent that in, so they know, like, ooh, something about cars, right? Old classic cars, mechanics, right? That's really cool. You got the roller skate picture there. You got a mural picture there. So you get a lot of information from these photos. And there's that pig, which cracked me up too. I do also love this pig. It's so sweet. Look at it. And yeah, so you got pig, you got reading, you got dancing, you got gardening. And then the community has told them what that means, right? And why people are interested in that and why it's important. I also love the snaggletooth pig there. That's pretty cute and a little terrifying all at the same time. So yeah, and before, I just want to also let you know, the opening reception for our June show is going to be June 11th from 1 to 3 p.m. And it'll be like any other art gallery opening, and we invite you all to come. You can come at any point between 1 and 3 p.m. There's going to be some light snacks. You can see all the photos together. You can get an idea of how each school went through their process, you can learn about these communities through these community members' eyes, which I think that's really important too. That's just kind of a side note with the film industry and lots of stuff happening in New Mexico. Lots of times our communities are portrayed through the eyes of other people, from people who are not from New Mexico, people from out of state, right? And this is a chance for the community to say, I'm creating art, we're creating art about ourselves, and this is what we think about ourselves, which I think is really cool, and not necessarily the way art has been going in New Mexico. So yeah. So any questions, I'd be happy to answer. I'll also put my email in the chat box if anyone wants to reach out about it further.
So Jeff, this is Ernie, and so do you have any, and maybe that's what you were showing just a minute ago, do you have actually pictures of what the pop-up gallery looks like, or is it just those pictures you were showing?
Just those pictures. We don't have any. I'm not sure if Matt Mahogany took any pop-up gallery pictures, like the event pictures.
Yeah.
I'll see if schools can maybe do that for us. The only issue with that is photo releases, right? Because at a pop-up gallery, it's a bunch of people on a school campus, and so we want to make sure that we get photos that don't identify anyone, because we can't get photo releases from hundreds of people. Okay. So that's the biggest issue with that.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hi, Jeff, it's Peggy. I had a quick question. So is this totally and completely free of any cost to the schools then?
That's a great question. So yes, the schools are paying absolutely nothing for this. ABC was great and chipped in 50%, and North Fourth is paying for 50%. So it's a really great partnership. The schools pay nothing. And yeah.
Great, thank you, wonderful.
Absolutely. Another cool thing, we also encourage schools to identify photographers in their community to be the process. And a couple of schools weren't able, and so North Fourth worked to find some photographers, but a couple of schools were able to find photographers from their community. And so those photographers were able to pick up this as a gig, essentially, and kind of get a job out of it, a temporary job, but yeah.
Thank you so much, Jeff. I think, as we look at how we truly lift up community voice and enhance community self-determination, I think the more creative we can be in figuring out what's important to community, while also creating amazing opportunities for multi-generational connection to the process, the better. And I think this is just an amazing approach to gathering what we would say data, right? Data always doesn't have to look like data we think data looks. And when we can engage and deepen the relationship within a community connected to a community school, we have just so much more value to the work that we do because we're doing what communities want. So thank you so much, Jeff. The next highlight we have, Deanna, can you advance a slide? Because I've got 42 windows open. Oh, I want to say I did upload the Candid Communities flyer into the chat. hopefully you can download it. I am also, did we move Lori over already? Oh, yes, we did. So the next highlight we have is APS esports. And I just want to set the stage here for when we talk about, that's hilarious. When we talk about leveraging resources and combining systems level partnerships, sometimes, and the value of having such amazing people sitting at the board level with ABC is that when we see something that makes sense, that students want to participate in, that adults are committed to providing, then we work with our board partners to make that happen. And in this case, with esports, we were able to broker some funding with Kristen Chavez and with Sasha Pellerin with the City of Albuquerque, and the funding that the out of school time funding that ABC manages to really meet a need that esports had. And the result is really fantastic. And I'm going to turn it over to Lori with APS and let her talk to you about what that meant this year and what the impact was in Albuquerque Public Schools with this program.
Thank you so much. I'm really happy to be here. Can you hear me okay? Great. So it's nice to see a lot of familiar faces, and I want to tell you a little bit about our program and how incredible it was this year, and especially because of the grant that we were given. I'm going to start off by telling you just a little bit about esports in case you don't know. Next slide. What is esports? Esports is called electronic sports, and it began in the 1970s. You might remember a game called Pong or Space Invaders that was very popular. Well, things have changed a little bit since then, and now students are going to college on scholarships. It's a billion-dollar industry, and the scholastic opportunities are constantly growing and changing. What esports does is it reaches students not otherwise engaged in traditional sports and activities. Next slide. So 4 years ago, Dr. Bowman came to me and said, I want to bring esports to APS. And I said, great. But I found out that no one knew what it was. But he had a vision. He said it was an opportunity to bring a gender neutral activity to students, especially those who couldn't participate in traditional sports or activities. He wanted to offer students the opportunity to be a part of a team activity in a club at their high school, and the need was real. There were quite a few students that never had the chance to join a club or a team. They just didn't know what it was like. And once they had that opportunity, it was exciting to them. But he also wanted to make sure that the students didn't have to pay the fees associated with playing in the New Mexico Activities Association championships every year. So we went to the APS Education Foundation and we got a grant and were able to fund scholarships for all of our students. So the first year we had 8 high schools, less than 100 kids. The next year we reached about 15 high schools. We doubled to about 200 kids. And unfortunately, COVID canceled the championships that year. But esports was thriving and our student numbers were growing. So everyone had to stay home during COVID. They were cut off from their classmates and all their activities. But because esports could be done virtually, APS students were able to participate online. I'll give you an example. Marta Anderson at Del Norte High School kept in contact with the students on Discord, not just to play the games, but also to help them with homework. Then she started arranging speakers for her students to listen to from all over the United States. At Trisco Heritage, Jeremy Wood did some amazing things with his club. He would walk around school at lunch and at different times during the day. If he saw a student sitting alone, he said, come join my esports team. And that's how his club grew to such a big size. And everyone told me they call their club a family now, and they have friendships and they're involved in something they never had before. Take a look at some of these kids. Look at the top left, that's V. V came here to the United States when she was a young girl from Vietnam. She didn't speak any English, but she did amazing things all throughout her education. When she was at Del Norte, she wanted to join esports, and she wanted to prove to everybody that video games were not limited by race or gender. Look at the top middle, that's Campbell. He was born with a heart condition and could never join sports or activities that were out of his reach. When he got into esports, it changed his life. If you go down to the middle left and you take a look at Christian, he said he wanted to be the first in his family to go to college. Right now, Christian is on scholarship at New Mexico State University. Top left V is on scholarship at University of New Mexico, and she's on the varsity team. So these kids have had amazing opportunities. Next slide. So let's go to this last year. We were recipients of the ABC Community School Partnership and got funding from the OST grant. And for the first time in the 4 years we've had esports at APS, we were able to give our coaches some money, a stipend for the hours worked. So we were able to expand elementary, middle, K-8, and high schools. The kids were just so excited about this, and the coaches who've always been excited about esports were really thrilled to actually get paid for their time. It shows that we have about 836 students, but we have quite a bit more because the students involved that didn't have payments because it was during regular school hours didn't submit their rosters. So we've really grown. I'd say we're close to 1,000, if not more. Next slide. So what does all this mean for APS and for the students? It means that we've reached students who may never have had a chance to be a part of a team or a club, and we've engaged them in many, many ways. The first championships for the NMAA took place in 2019. We didn't place. The second ones in 2020 were canceled because of COVID. In 2021, they had the championships at schools monitored by NMAA, but not a big celebration. So finally, this year, we got to host the championships with the NMAA and play Versus at Bonifacio. It was fantastic. The kids felt like rock stars on stage. They had so much fun. And on top of that, winning isn't everything, but it's kind of nice to win. We had 3 state championships. Early College took first in A3A, Del Norte took first in 4A, and La Cueva took second in 5A. And a bigger deal is that 5 of our high schools placed within the top 3, Atrisco Heritage, Cibola, Highland, Manzano, and Sandia. The most important thing is that the kids had fun and had such a successful year. I have to tell a little story about Highland because that's a special school to me. They've been with me since the beginning. And I went to them early in the year and I said, Terry, how can I help you get started with your esports this year? And he said, I can't do it. I've got too many things going on at home. And I said, oh, you have done so much for these kids. How can I help? He said, let's try to find another coach. We couldn't, but because of this grant, we found a coach who came as a volunteer and was able to help these kids. They've never been able to win anything, and they actually won. They won second place in 4A in Super Smash Brothers. They were so excited on stage. They were jumping around and just having a blast. So it was pretty cool. Next slide. Actually, I think I skipped, but you can go back if you can. So what have we done with esports? Working with NASEF, the North American Scholastic Esports Federation, Dr. Bowman and I formed a statewide affiliate called the New Mexico Scholastic Esports Federation. We got esports leaders from around the state. We started having meetings and we started working on implementation of curriculum. Because of the work we've done, NMPED is now working on giving us a STARS code for an esports class. And this year, 2 of our high school students received actual scholarships to play esports while attending college. Bottom left, you see a young man with Dr. Bowman, and his name is Aiden Bennett. He's from Cibola. He is going to attend New Mexico State University. He's going to play Rocket League and study engineering. If you take a look to the one in the middle, that's Chris Simpson. He received the first ever scholarship to go to New Mexico Tech. Not only is he going to play Rocket League, but he's going to shoutcast. And what's even more amazing is this young man is deaf, and his whole life took off in an incredible direction, his mom said, when he was able to go to Del Norte High School because they have a program there. So his goal is to become the very first hearing impaired shoutcaster in the entire country. And I know he'll make it. He's an amazing kid. Next slide. So APS, this year we sponsored 2 expos at Bonifacio. We worked with Xfinity at Comic-Con, and we hosted the Anime Championships. Esports is all about our students and helping them find their place in school and in the world. We are so grateful for all your support. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Hi, Lori, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
I actually have a comment. I would like a little more information on esports. I think it's really, really cool. And I have a real good friend of mine who actually, his son participated in esports, and now he's moving towards a engineering degree. And that was one of his funnest things he ever did in high school, was be involved in the esports program. So if there's any events that are going on, scheduling permitted, I'd really like to go to some of these events. So please invite me. Thank you.
Definitely will. Thank you so much. Anytime there's an event, we'll start sending an invitation to all of you.
Lori, could you do me a favor? Because I was one that had no idea what esports was. Not a clue when these conversations first started happening. Could you just tell people kind of quickly the different roles that kids can play? I was kind of surprised because I sort of in my head had it was about gaming to me, right? And that's not all of it. There's a lot of really cool things that kids can be involved in. And just also kudos to you guys for meeting kids where they're at and building human connection and engaging them in ways that just really allow them to contribute and bring value to not only their own lives, but everyone around them. So nice work.
Thank you so much. We've had so much fun doing it. And we're so lucky to have been able to receive the funding we did because it helped us in a lot of ways. But yes, there's a lot of different ways that you can participate. It's not just playing games, though that's a big part of it, but you can shoutcast, which is like broadcasting. So if you go to a basketball or football game, there's always someone on the sidelines telling you what happens, what's going on. And that's exactly what a shoutcaster does in esports. They'll talk about the game. So at the championships recently at Bonifacio, they're on the stage, sitting right there, talking you through what's going on, because not everyone knows how to follow Rocket League or League of Legends. So that's a very interesting thing. But there's other ways that kids can be involved, and these lead to career pathways. Let's say that you might be interested in doing photos of the kids, and you get on the team and you take photos like you're seeing right here, and you get quotes, and then you might be able to do a blog or something about this for your school. If you're talking about career pathways, there's so many more, because you can do data analysis, you can do strategic planning, you can do event planning. It just goes on and on. And I think, like Louis mentioned, of the young man who was in engineering, and that's just what Aiden Bennett from Siebel is going to study, electrical engineering. So a lot of these kids are looking into going into college in technical type careers, STEM and STEAM related careers. And this is a great thing. And sometimes they play esports and sometimes they don't. In fact, at Highland, one of my favorite kids was a young man named Boo Ho. And he loved playing esports, but he wanted to go into electrical engineering, and he's at college right now doing that. So yeah, it's amazing. And it's a wonderful thing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Barbara, did you have a comment? Oh, sorry. And then Peggy.
I was just going to say, I think I started out really skeptical about esports because so much of the video game world context is really isolating, and I think it leads a lot of kids to not connecting with peers and not interacting. And so I started out being really skeptical, but in fact, I think esports do exactly the opposite of really engaging students who might otherwise not find their niche with their peers, but really encourages a really positive social interaction. So I have been won over and have come on board. And so thank you, Lori, for all that you're doing.
Thank you so much.
And this is Peggy. I just want to thank you, Lori. I mean, you guys are just doing such a fantastic job. And I know there are some students that had been able to play sports before, and then something happened and then they weren't able to. And so this just gives them that opportunity to continue playing. The thing I would just ask everybody out there, as Counselor Sanchez had said, is we really want to get people more involved and grow the audience. I know there wasn't at the last competition, there weren't as many people in the audience as there should be. And so I think we just need to really let that be out there, because once you go, like I went the first time, and then keep on going, because you just get pulled in. So I think we just really, these kids just deserve a really big audience. They truly do. So I'm hoping that if we get the word out more, that we'll have a bigger audience for our kids. But thank you for all you do, Lori. It's awesome.
Thank you. And thank you. You always supported us and you've been to every single one of our events. We appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Well, I know I plan to go to the next one. That sounds really great. And I was mentioning it to my son who's graduating from Highland this afternoon. And he was like, oh yeah, our team is so good at Super Smash Bros. And I mean, I didn't even know what he was talking about, but yeah, he was really excited about it. So even though he doesn't play esports, it still is impacting everybody at the school. So thank you so much. So I'm going to introduce you to two community school coordinators who are going to share briefly with us about a new professional development opportunity that we have sort of developed over the last couple of months called ABC Community School Coordinator Legal Academy. We've had a lot of questions come up from coordinators around certain things that are issues that affect families and students, but have a basis in law. And so I'm going to ask Sergio Swartz from Rio Grande High School and Christian Espinoza from Duranes Elementary School to talk to you today about their takeaway from the Legal Academy, what they've learned and how it's impacted them. Just give you a quick overview of that. So Christian, why don't we start with you?
Thank you, Diana. Good morning, everyone. And thank you for the space and the opportunity of being able to share with all of you about my experience with the Coordinator Legal Academies. This session started since February of this year, and they have been extremely helpful for the work that I do here at Duranes Elementary. Thanks to these sessions, I've been able to increase my capacity as a community school coordinator. And one of my responsibilities is to bridge gaps and develop systems of support based on the needs that exist in the community that I serve. So thanks to these Legal Academy sessions, I've been able to connect families with the right resources, services, and programs that will help them be successful, not just in school, but also in life. So how are these sessions created? These sessions usually originate from case studies and stories that are shared with us from families within our school community. They bring their actual concerns to our attention and we become their voice. Then our team comes together and builds discussions about these topics. Subsequently, the ABC network reaches out to content experts that provide us with information about the processes and action steps to effectively help families mitigate these challenges. Like for example, on April 25th, we had Professor Martinez from the UNM School of Law share with us information around landlord and tenant law and eviction practices. On April 8th, we learned about the rights of students with disabilities, IEPs, inclusion, and the disability rights of New Mexico. On Friday, April 29th, we learned from Professor Alisa Mercado with the Southwest Indian Law Clinic about the Indian education law. So for me personally, many of these sessions have created aha moments for the things that I don't quite comprehend. But when those discovery moments happen, I start to relay in my mind why families in my school will be able to benefit from these services. Then I reach out to them and connect them with these organizations. So in conclusion, I really hope that these sessions keep developing, as again, they're really beneficial and help us provide more intentional and more comprehensive strategies and types of assistance to families. Also, as coordinators, we build stronger confidence by knowing that we have a team of support who will provide us guidance and direction toward being successful in our line of work. So thank you all for your time, and I hope you have a great day.
Thank you so much, Christian. Sergio, could you add your thoughts, please?
Absolutely. It's going to be hard to follow. My name is Sergio Schwartz. I'm the community school coordinator at Rio Grande High. I'm relatively new. I started in January, so I'm almost as new as this legal academy itself. And something that it's done for me, especially coming in, is it's kind of prepared me for issues I didn't know I was going to run into and face before coming into them. And it's given me the tools necessary to advocate for parents, for families, when they are facing these systemic issues. Also, it's felt, helped me feel a little more inspired to speak with our family liaisons and figure out ways in which we can kind of make a concerted effort to better understand what's happening in our community and how to acknowledge these things. It's a cool space. It's a space where we have the opportunity to not only learn, but discuss and talk about best practices within our schools and bring our experiences in. So that's another thing that's been really useful is after the Legal Academy, this past Legal Academy, we had a moment to kind of decompress and take in the wisdom that was shared with us and the information that was shared with us. And all the different coordinators had the opportunity to share how it applied in their community, how it applied at their school. And it's been incredibly enlightening, and I really appreciate the space.
Thank you so much. And that was the Southwest Indian Law Clinic, and learning about tribal sovereignty and the Indian Child Welfare Act and the New Mexico Families Protection Act, which was new this session. Yeah, there was a lot to unpack there. So just to recap, we also learned about disability rights with Disability Rights New Mexico, kinship guardianship with Pegasus Legal Services for Children, which was really important as we're seeing many families have lost caregivers. And so knowing how to support families in those situations. And then the landlord-tenant laws with UNM School of Law, also super important right now, is an issue we're seeing all over in our schools. So we definitely plan to continue. I actually am already getting ideas from coordinators for the next go round. And so I'll be reaching out to more experts in our legal community to keep this wonderful opportunity going. And thanks again to Sergio and Christian for sharing your experiences with us.
Does anyone have any comments or questions? Excellent. Well, I am going to turn it over to Jake Mirabal to talk a little bit about this picture. Talk about system level partnerships in the making.
Good morning, everybody. My name's Jake. I'm a part of the ABC team. And I'm highlighting this as Highland is going to have their graduation this afternoon. Marco and Charlton, along with the previous coordinator, Tessa, and myself, have had long conversations about this bus. And it's an accumulation of a really collaborative effort that took a lot of time. But this bus is Highland's brand new like events bus, but it's actually a combination of Citizens Church, who was able to provide the funding for the bus, Boys and Girls Club, who is actually the certified driver and liaison for the bus. They're going to be helping staff the bus at all times. And coordinate with other events. And then Highland, we're obviously working with their students, but the whole point of this process or this project was Highland identified that they were having issues with participation in out of school time activities and also enrollment. This was over 3 years ago. This has slightly changed over the last couple of years, where students at their feeder schools were not choosing to go to Highland. And there was a connection with Boys and Girls Club, where Boys and Girls Club is at a couple of their feeder schools and has programs. And Boys and Girls Club also happens to be the sponsor of the hub at Highland now. And so they were trying to figure out ways to help students who wanted to participate but couldn't because of transportation issues, figure out ways to engage those different activities on campus, and then also ways to promote Highland. And so the three entities together, Citizens Church, Boys and Girls Club, and Highland, came together to make it happen. And working closely with APS to make sure that it fits all the criteria, that it's vetted to be utilized for APS activities. But now Highland students have an opportunity to participate in places that they wouldn't have normally been able to. As you guys know, Highland has a community that's highly dependent on transportation, whether it's the APS bus routes or the city bus routes. And so students literally had to leave at certain times from campus. So this bus just allows for that to happen in a different way, right? They're allowed to re-engage with those students at Wilson who maybe were not necessarily ready to choose Highland, but now they have an opportunity to go explore it. But then also students that are already on campus can utilize this as a way to offset some of the previous issues that they had. Huge shout out to Marco, Charlton, and then also obviously Citizens Church and Boys and Girls Club for making all of this happen. This picture was taken about 2 weeks ago. So it's brand spanking new. And I'm happy to answer any questions if necessary.
I'll just say, the perseverance that was needed by Charlton and Marco and the Boys and Girls Club and the church was incredible. And it's sort of a barrier that I think we face a lot, that there are lots of bureaucratic roadblocks to making some things happen. And it's really tricky because some of them are very valid. We don't want kids riding in a bus that's not safe, that's not insured, that doesn't have all of the protection that we need. It's, and so I think a lot of times our community schools are in that weird position of trying to balance, how do we comply? How do we make sure everything's safe? How do we make sure the people interacting with our kids are, people we want interacting with our students, and at the same time open the door and really build these connections. And I think this sort of proves that it doesn't happen without an incredible commitment and perseverance. And at the same time, even then, it's not always, you don't end up with everything that you want, but clearly this is a huge step forward. And then I just have to put in a plug for, or make a more general comment about how state funding works in transportation, that APS is reimbursed for transportation for high school students that are outside of the 2-mile perimeter. And that looks very different if you're a student with no independent transportation and live at Trumbull in Louisiana versus a student in a neighborhood that has much more developed infrastructure, that is overall an easier community with many more options for individual transportation. And so APS always is in this position of how do we provide reasonable transportation to students, because there are kids that are walking through the International District at 6:15 a.m. to get to a 0-hour class. And so this bus begins to address that inequity a little bit, but we still have a long ways to go. And I think we need to, if we want to talk about equity, we really have to look at transportation services. But this bus is a huge step forward, and just really hats off to all the people that made it happen, because it was long and involved and took a lot of commitment. So thank you. Thanks, Jake.
No, thank you, Barbara. 4 years worth of work, so you're not lying.
Fantastic. Thank you, everyone. We also wanted to give a shout out to Del Norte, Albuquerque High, Highland, Manzano, and Atrisco Heritage Academy community schools. All have increased their graduation rates by pretty significant percentage points, which is super exciting. As we know, the community school framework is a strategy. There's no one thing that can point to any one success, because it's collective. Just like all of the examples that you saw today, there are many players that all bring something directly to the table to advance whatever it is we're trying to advance to get to that common result. And that's why all of these things were able to happen, because in the ABC Community School Partnership, no one individual partner is focused on what their $1 or their one effort was able to achieve. What everyone is committed to is the common set of results and how we contribute to that. So it's really exciting for us to see this process moving forward, because obviously APS has done an incredible amount of work to look at the teaching and learning, to look at the strategies that they're through their educational pedagogy. All of those pieces come into play with also school-based health centers, extended learning time and opportunities, authentic and deep family engagement opportunities, mutually beneficial partnerships that are happening through our site-based leadership teams, our community school councils, and then strong, dedicated, passionate community school coordinators working with leaders who are equally as dedicated to move the needle on our academic outcomes and the health and well-being of our communities. And I just want to say thank you to everybody who presented. Amazing work happening in our schools, but it takes things from the system level to the grassroots level and back the other direction to create these opportunities. And everyone on this board makes that happen through their entities and through their commitment and passion in allowing and supporting the ABC team to work with all of these organizations and all of the schools in getting these great opportunities in place for young people. And then I think, click on that, Dana. Oh, here we go. I'm not sure. We do have a quorum, but Enrico, do we want to do the voting items? We have about 4 minutes left.
I was wondering, do we want to wait until we have more people on board from the board, or would you rather just move forward? It might make more sense to put that one off, but it depends how everyone feels about that.
I can send out a reminder. What I can do, if the board members are okay, since we have about half the folks here today, is I can send out holds for the board retreat, just so that they're saving space on your calendar, and then the board can discuss and make a final determination of June, if that would be okay or helpful. Excellent. Fantastic. We can go ahead and do that then. Lastly, I would like to say congratulations to Deanna Creighton-Cook, who of course is one of the pillars of our team, who has completed and will be graduating on Saturday with her master's in law from the University of New Mexico Law School. Also, Alex Shoemaker, who is our current intern and hopefully soon to be part of our team permanently, completing her master's in public policy from the UNM School of Public Policy. And then APS's Lindsay Wilwell was accepted to the summer 2022 UNM College of Education Teaching and Learning doctoral program. So a lot of folks accomplishing a lot this year. So congratulations to all of you. And Enrico, I will turn it back over to you.
No, I just wanted to thank everybody. Danette, your staff, this was a great presentation today. We went over a lot of really great highlights. It was packed, it's very inspiring, and it comes at a great time as it concludes the school year. So just wanted to thank the board membership and you and your staff. And with that, we'll be meeting again on the 9th of June. Looking forward to that.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.